Welcome back to the show. We've all been there. You're at a concert, people right in front of you trying to videotape the artist. Can't see anything. One company is trying to change that.
That company is called Yondr, and we have the founder and CEO here with us to tell us all about it. Graham Degoni, thanks for being here.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So, you have the solution to our nightmare scenario. The worst problem in the world.
Ever.
This is a device that will stop people from using their phones at public events, right?
Yeah, I guess in the simplest sense, yeah, we create phone-free spaces. But conceptually, I like to think that we're just kind of the tip of the spear in a general movement.
I love this.
I think you're right, because I've gone to so many shows. For example, when I saw Queens of the Stone Age at the Wiltern, when they did like Clockwork.
You know, as people do.
Listen, that's a humble brag. Josh Homme he said, hey guys, before we start the show, just put your phones away. Let's all enjoy tonight.
When Ashley was backstage, he was like...
I'd be dead if that happened. I'd just die of happiness. But there is a movement for that, and there is something to be said for really being in the moment at a concert instead of getting shaky cam video and poor audio from it, but and always having your cell phone up.
And this is something artists want, right? This is something that you're finding not just artists want.
Yeah, definitely both. I mean, if you look at it as artists are the most sensitive people in the culture, then of course they're going to be the first to see kind of what the impact of radical technological change will be. And so creating spaces where people can be swept up into a shared mood is something they value probably above all others.
So how does it work?
Yeah.
Very simple. We have 3 sizes of case, fit every phone on the market. So when someone comes to a show, their phone slides into one of these cases, like this, boom.
Whoa.
Oh, wow,
so
okay.
Pops open, phone goes in, it now locks. Your phone's now inside the Yondr pouch. You cannot access it. You keep possession of it. When you leave, just tap it on one of the unlocking mechanisms.
Opens
we have
it
a
up.
bunch out front. Unlocks.
So I've been at events where you have to check your phone, and it's always such a pain because I was at
It's like coat check.
like for example the Star Wars world premiere that I attended.
Yeah.
You had to check your phone, and when you leave, there's such a line, it's such a hassle. So this is a way to not have to check your phone at all. You actually keep possession of your own device. You don't have to worry about it getting stolen or lost.
Exactly. And if someone needs to use it, emergency or something like that, they can always step outside the phone-free space and unlock it and use it. So really what it creates is the idea of essentially phone-free. It's like smoking versus non-smoking sections, but for phones. Is how we kind of refer to it.
Now this is also, I would imagine it would extend very much so to comedians as well, because when you are, if you guys don't know how comedians sort of work out their bits or their specials specifically, they'll spend a year, 2 years, 3 or something. I mean, they'll spend a while workshopping out an entire set, and a lot of times they don't want that workshopping because it's not the finished product out there for people, but they need to get that feedback from their audiences. Yeah. So this is also something that you were mentioning that comedians are also interested in.
Oh, definitely. I mean, exactly what you said, workshopping new jokes, but also just the ability to enter a space and know that what happens there stays there. It's kind of fundamental, I think, to the art form itself. So it hasn't been until very recently that this has been a problem. So it hasn't been until recently that there's a solution.
Yeah, so you sell this to a venue or you have this available at a venue. Are you finding as places adopt this technology, people are complaining or having a problem with it? Is it hard to convince people to use it?
Yeah, what's the audience response when they come up against something like this? Because it's obviously something they've never experienced before.
Yeah, no, the audience reception is incredibly positive. I mean, that's one of the things that early on I kind of saw by being out at a lot of venues and talking to people, is that the average person there kind of understanding of the problem, this general angst about not just this at shows, but the role of technology in society in general is a lot further advanced than most people, I think, realize. So most people are incredibly positive. They understand as soon as they realize they get to keep possession of their phone, they're fine with it. You have a few people who get angry, but they'd be angry anyways.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I mean, yeah.
I think you could actually sell these to families. For dinner time, like everybody put your phone in a bag.
You could make this an IoT thing where you're like, Alexa, lock down our phones. Like
Don't
it's
say that
dinner
too loud.
time.
Somebody just had Alexa wake up.
I know,
in their house.
I'm sorry. You say, Miss A from Amazon, the robot in the machine of the Echo, please lock our family's phones.
So there's really nothing no damage to the phone. There's nothing limiting the phone. You'll still hear it ring, potentially.
Well, we have different models that do different things.
Oh,
The
okay.
short answer. So we have some that block all signals altogether, some that don't. They have different use cases. So depending on who the customer is, we'll give them a different case.
Because I would love to be able to go to the movies and have everybody's phone not ring or make a chime
light up.
at all.
Yeah, no, that would be great.
That would be great. So there are versions of this that actually limit the signal that it can receive?
Exactly. But it's important for now that this version that I have right here doesn't, because if someone's at a venue, they're expecting a call from the babysitter or something like that, they'll feel
Right.
their phone vibrate and they can step out. And
They
that's
know.
important just for people's comfort.
Right,
That's
that makes
also
sense.
where it I think is superior to a check system, because you still, as you said, if you remove yourself from the situation or the area, you still have access to your phone. You don't have to go to a coat check or a
Right.
phone check system.
Well, and also you don't know if you're getting that call. So I think
Yeah.
if there's an emergency, if there's things that are happening where someone's trying to get a hold of you, this is a much better system
Definitely.
to have in place as opposed to a phone check, because you would have no idea until you got out of that event
Yeah.
that something would happen. So how long have you been developing Yondr?
The concept I had kind of fully fleshed in about 2012, I guess, and sat on it and started developing it about a year and a half ago. I thought back then the issue kind of hadn't boiled to the surface enough. People didn't see the problem so clearly. But the first prototyping, everything I did myself just through Alibaba, just using Chinese manufacturing and everything, and then hired a design firm after all of those steps. But it's been a process.
So this unlocking mechanism reminds me a lot of the type of thing that you would see at a clothing store where they take off the security tag. It sort of reminds me of that, where it's sort of a security tag-esque, like you kind of pop that and then you see. It's kind of an interesting. Were you inspired at all by that? Was that
You
a
mean
thing?
our proprietary technology?
Proprietary tech,
Yeah,
yeah.
could you explain how it works in detail for us? I'm just going to take some notes.
Yeah, no. It's
No,
well,
I
just
can't.
like,
But
was there a moment in which you were like, I need to build this? Like, what was there a concert
Yeah.
that you went to? Was there a time where you were like, okay, a news story, something like that, where you were like, okay, I've got this great idea. Here, what was the light bulb moment
Someone
for
record you when you didn't want them to.
you? Yeah,
no,
yeah,
close
exactly.
though.
Right.
No, I guess it was going to a lot of live shows and just seeing kind of what was happening in general and kind of observing the way social trends and etiquette changes over time, which kind of people have a short memory for things like that. But looking at that, and then I guess I was at one show back when I was living in Atlanta and saw a guy who was pretty drunk. He was dancing, and two strangers recording him and posted it to the internet right after they recorded it. And just sitting there looking at that and going, well, if you follow that line out and see where that goes,
Yeah.
I think you'd find that actually what a lot of people are saying, especially in Silicon Valley, about the future of technology is actually not tenable from a psychological, sociological perspective. So I thought, for a lot of reasons, just to be social, the need for some element of privacy,
Yeah.
So that was kind of for me, realizing that, to me it became very clear that just, this was something that was going to exist. Then it was just figuring out the form.
How to do it, right. I think that's interesting, the point that you make, that it's not just about creating a safe space for the artist, but also for the people enjoying the show. Sort of let loose, have a
Yeah.
great time.
Be unself-conscious.
Be unself-conscious about, if they're a terrible dancer, for example, even if they're not drunk, like some people here at this table, to be able
know
to
what she's
enjoy
talking about.
themselves without having to worry about, being posted to the internet on somebody else's account or something like that. You really feel like it's a safe space, not only for the artist, but also for the attendees. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that feeling of being uninhibited is really important. And yeah, I mean, I could chew your ear off about this, about kind of the philosophical side of the whole thing for me. But at the end of the day, it's when people go to shows and if they enjoy it more than a show with phones, then that's it. They've made their association with the idea. It's really not more complicated than that.
Have there been any specific places that have adopted this so far?
Yeah, so there's venues all over the country we work with, more and more artists. We're now working with artists in Europe, UK as well. And then our other big customer is schools, which
wow.
was kind of
Yeah.
unanticipated, but has turned out to be really,
I can
really
imagine.
good. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Again, like having possession of the phone, but not having access. That's actually pretty
In
brilliant.
that sense, it's almost anti-cheat technology as well.
Right, yeah, no, that's a good point. That is a really good point. So just out of curiosity, are there any other unanticipated use cases that you were really surprised about, that you said, oh my gosh, like I hadn't thought about that as a use for this, but yeah, I guess we could use it for that.
No, I think there's different types of utility for different spaces or different areas. So some of them are pretty practical, whether it's preventing people from ripping off copyrights and stuff on a production floor, stuff like that. That's very just kind of utility.
Okay.
And then there's more that, you know, kind of experiential side, which is live music and creating these spaces where people can be swept up into a shared mood. And that's really kind of the most important to me. These other ones are fine, they're good, but it's, you know, education's important because I think that we haven't really figured out maybe how new digital tools fit into education in a meaningful way. And then entertainment is, you know.
Yeah,
what we
it's
talked
so
about.
interesting that we give ourselves these bits of technology, these tools, as you said, and we have to figure out a way to force ourselves to not use them sometimes. It's fascinating.
Yeah, you made a good point before we started doing this interview where you were saying that, you know, we're conditioned. It's a habit now to sort of always have our phone either checking it constantly or, you know, always using it or always kind of being in that habit of having it out and in use. And so I think this is a really interesting sort of way to kind of, again, with the whole, you know, keeping people mollified by letting them have their phone on them, but also kind of saying, okay, just for 2 hours, just be in the moment and let's just enjoy this. Like,
Are you selling these as a product to end users, or is it sort of only a corporate or, you know, sort of large scale venue based?
No, we have families that have ordered them and use them at home. But more than that, it goes with venues and artists or to the school, so it's not really directly to those people. But, you know, we're getting kind of new types of deals every day, so
Very cool.
who knows?
So where can people find
You're
out
out
more
there.
about Yondr?
Overyondr.com.
but Yondr without an E.
Yeah.
It's YONDR.
Because
YONDR.
it removes your electronics. I don't know. I was trying to help.
Don't
I was trying to
hire him
help.
as a spokesperson.
I'm the PR guy.
Don't do
No?
it.
Just
Okay,
trademark
maybe.
stuff. I would have added the E if we could.
Yeah, no, it's very true. Maybe that's fair enough.
Overyondr.com.
Fair enough. And then what is like overyondr.com? And then are you guys on social media at all? If anybody want to tag you or ask you questions, things like that?
We do not have any social media. No Twitter, no Facebook.
All their phones are locked up
all their-
inside the building.
We
Very
don't plan
serious.
to either. So that's part of the movement.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's part of the
I
movement.
like this as more than just a product, but it really is a philosophical stance that you're taking, which I think is kind of necessary where we are now.
Yeah, it's just more fun.
Yeah.
That's it.
I agree.
Right on.
Thank you so much for coming in and talking to us about Yondr. Guys, get
Put
ready.
your phone in the bag.
Put your phone in the bag. Well, okay, if you're watching the show, don't put your phone in the bag
No,
yet.
no, put your phone in the bag right now.
Don't. Finish watching the show and then put your phone in the bag.
more fun.
We'll be right back. We are going to have a major discussion about virtual reality because there was tons of VR news that happened this last weekend. We really wanted to talk about it all week, so we decided to make it its own segment. But thank you
around.
again. Stick around. It's Smart Daily.
Great.